can be tricky sometimes. Hello, everybody. Today is September 10th, 2017. It's my day 120, 121, and I'm just like a couple hours shy of having the fourth month done. So I think between friends we can say 16 months. Uh, I've had these lovely, lovely chemicals coursing through my body: estrogen, progesterone, and spirulactone, which has altered my mind, my brain, my body, my soul, my personality, everything. So let's just do a quick, today just be kind of a general update on everything. Um, the It's also like day 9 of the potato diet, and I kind of ran into a bit of a problem when I ran out of potatoes, and I ate some other vegetables, and apparently there must have been something different about I had collard greens and mustard greens, and it was something different about them that messed up the diet. And so I'm back to just pure potatoes. I bought plenty of potatoes this week, so I won't run out of potatoes. Um, I think I know I probably go through about 25 pounds of potatoes on a weekly basis, and so usually I buy 10 pounds of russets, 5 pounds of golden, 5 pounds of red, for a bit of variety's sake. I've not done sweet potatoes, although I guess I could. I think what messed it up was the salt, because there was salt in they were southern style greens, and so there was a lot of salt in there. And I've noticed that salt, I'm very much into salt, and I need to deal with that. So I'm hoping this week to help break some of that. And I think the literature on the diet itself, the reason why no salt added is it's really getting your body used to recalibrating to the natural salts that's in foods. And so, if your taste buds, I guess they adjust for lower salt detection. And so in theory, once you break the sodium addiction, the level of sodium, it's like getting used to it's like getting used to low fat milk. If you're used to drinking whole milk, 4% milk fat, and you had fat-free milk, you'd be like, it's water. But if you were able to cut that down and go from 4 to maybe 3 or 2, and then from 2 to 1, and then 1 to 0, it'd be you could tolerate it. So small changes. Today I'm experimenting. I'm having a hard time getting my fingernails to grow, so I'm soaking my hand to see about getting what my mom would call the dead skin out, and see if maybe that will stimulate some nail growth. So what's going on? Really, that's about it as far as the transition goes, and dieting goes. I'm still a little hung up on why am I so like hell bent on having surgery when I'm not a very sexual person, and I'm still developing. I hope, girls, hear me. Still developing. Um, so why, I felt kind of silly. Why such a push? And obviously with the diet, that's the whole only reason why I'm dieting. We had we celebrated my daughter's 11th birthday. I might wait for that to stop. I don't know if you can hear it's the sump pump in the basement draining. But it's my daughter's 11th birthday. And this is the first birthday where, there it goes. This is the first birthday that I've been full-time, like full-time, like fully full-time. Last year I was, still kind of in that fifth, sixth month of transitioning, and changes weren't really apparent to anybody else. And, I still kind of went through the pantomime of, living the beta version of me, externally, for other people's benefit, to help with the transition people around me. And so this is the first year that I am full time, full speed, full tilt. It's the way I am and whatnot. And it was pretty cool. It was just me and her, and we had some cookies. I broke my diet. Some pizza, and we watched. We read manga together and read, and we watched some YouTube videos, and we played some video games. I mean, it was pretty cool for a nerdy geeky person. It was a pretty neat birthday. Definitely very, very different than birthdays, the way birthdays used to be, maybe 4 or 5 birthdays ago, where we had a party with people and presents and cake, and um, you know, I think she kind of outgrew it a little bit. And for me as a parent, I was always the orchestrator of the party. I did all the work and everything. So, it was one of those things that you reach a point of diminishing returns. It becomes more of a hassle than a fun thing. For the child, it's like, okay, well, you're a teenager now. Let's do it. Let's do what adults do. Adults go out to eat and celebrate and whatnot. So anyway, a little bit of a difference there. Next week is we go back to court, and I'm not going to say anything that would nothing that's going to get me in trouble legally. But we're just dealing with fulfilling our obligation. And that would be something that I would say to anyone who transitions and has a child. If you haven't quite figured it out yet, regardless of what you do on your transition, you still have to fulfill your obligation as a parent. In my case, obviously, I was the father. I am the father. I'm still a father. I'm still daddy. But it's all about fulfilling our obligation, whether you're the mother, biological mother, or the biological father. We have to fulfill our obligation, which comes in, could be fiscal, definitely fiscal. I know that's a legal thing with child support and whatnot. We have to fulfill the financial obligation, and so again, for someone who's transitioning or thinking about it, and you're married and you're about to get divorced, or you're married, I would highly recommend you go and look at your state's requirements. What does the state say? Get yourself a lawyer if you need to, just to feel like you're someone who maybe can explain it to you, because if it's written in legalese, put it in plain English for you, and someone who's going to be an advocate for you. And yes, it's definitely nice to be amiable to your soon to be or recently ex spouse, but to have someone who has your interests in mind, who knows the legal system, who understands that you're trying to fulfill your obligation to the child. In my case, I had to go to the state, the county clerk's office, and say, please explain to me how this works. How, what is the requirement? And that way I knew what I needed to do. And I also knew the obligation that I had. And I also knew the obligation that my ex-spouse has to fulfill their obligation. And so it's very easy to think about money and situational and what's fair and what's right. And, justice is, the statue of justice is blind. The little woman holding the scales, she's blind. Justice is blind. You have to look at what legally you have to do, your obligation, and fulfill that. And where I live in the state of Indiana, there's a formula that's on the state website, and you put in your information, how much you make, what's your duty, and everything, and it says, okay, here's how much money you owe per month. And it's not, it's a machine. It's not negotiable. That's what it is. That's what it says. And so part of going back to court is to facilitate the obligation being fulfilled. And I guess that's about as neutral as I can be, for us to fulfill our obligation. And so that's that. And I'm trying to think what else. Anything else going on? Um, we did that. We did that. We talked about the diet. Talked about transitioning. Talked about family. That's it. Kind of boring. The second year is not as cataclysmic as the first year. First year, your body is definitely changing, and I guess you're going from one camp to the other. You're in the second year, it's like little things. I wonder what the future holds as far as the third year and the fourth year. Supposedly all the hormones, whatever assistance the hormones are going to lend, whatever changes the hormones are going to do, supposedly, by the end of the second year, most of it's done. And then, it takes, and granted, everyone's different, your metabolism and how you react and your body and whatnot. But after 4 years, that's it, And so I still have a good 2 years to see what happens. Girls, we still have 2 years. And if I want to supplement them with surgery or whatnot. But we'll see. I had a crazy idea the other day. A friend of mine from high school had reached out to me and said something about, I made the comment about hippie grandmother. I was looking like a hippie grandmother, and he said, oh, you look like the people that live in Boulder, Colorado. And part of me was like, oh yeah, man. When I was younger and I was a scout, of course, once you're an Eagle Scout, you're always an Eagle Scout, right? And God bless them, the National Eagle Scout Association, they track me down every time I move. I don't tell them I move, and they find me, even though I've changed my name and whatnot. I mean, they really should put the National Eagle Scout Association to find terrorists like Osama bin Laden and them, because they would find them. I'm pretty sure. Ask them for money. Forgot where I was going with that. Oh, but I used to spend my summers out in Colorado, and I loved Colorado. And I mean, I would love to go to Colorado, but back to the idea of that obligation, I see myself needing to be here till my daughter gets done with school. And, once she graduates and she's kind of on her own, then that gives me the ability to kind of hoist my skirts and go wherever I want to go. And yeah, Colorado, I'd not complain. It gets cold there, though. That's the only, it gets really cold and snowy. But hey, if I can swing it, I was thinking about Tennessee of all places. But Colorado, I'd not complain. The view, oh golly, Garden of the Gods, Colorado is like heaven to me. I grew up in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and I was always a stone's throw from the beach. And some people, they have the idea that the beach is this magical place in the ocean, and to me, it's old hat. So I moved up here to Kentucky or to Indiana, and they're like, "Why the hell did you leave Florida?" It's like, well, because it was boring to me. And so yeah, the hills of Tennessee sound really, really good to me, or the mountains of Colorado. I remember there's a small town outside of Colorado Springs called Manitou Springs, and to get up every morning and have a view of Pikes Peak, probably you get tired of it, I guess. But oh golly, majestic, much more visually appealing than the floodplain I live on right now. I live on the Ohio River floodplain where it's flat, and I had enough years of flat in Florida. I want mountains, I want hills, and so to my future husband out there, wherever you are, please, when we meet. And I do believe we will meet at some point, future husband. I hope that you will dig the mountains, whatnot. And I hope that, for myself, I hope I have mountains. Girls, mountains that you can explore. And I hope that your seed will find purchase in my soil or something like that. Maybe not. I don't have the equipment for that. And one child is enough. One child is enough. One child is enough. Very happy to put all my love and support into one child. But anyway, as we're nearing 15 minutes, if you're on your treadmill, it's about 15 minutes. Good job. and we'll go from there. I feel like I'm just rambling now, but one day at a time. One day at a time. I was a little bored yesterday. I had played my video games. I had read. I'm reading Fellowship of the Ring right now, and I'm curious why in the heck. And this bothered me when I was in middle school. Why is Sam like a servant to Frodo? I don't get it. And the internet tells me that Tolkien kind of felt like there was a gentry, and if you owned land and you were a hobbit, and obviously Frodo inherited, Bag End, like there was a gentrification, there was a landowning class, and that maybe Sam's the gaffer, his father, whatnot, was part on the land of Bag Ends and was kind of not enslaved, but he was like a servant somewhat, and it just bothers me for some reason. I guess it's my own sense of independence and whatnot, but that's my issue of the day. So I'm rereading. I'm trying to stay with it. Usually I get bored reading Tolkien. For whatever reason, it's he can spend 2 pages describing a sunset, which is beautiful, but maybe later, if I stick through it, I hope if I get to Return of the King and there's some of the combat, maybe that'll pique my interest. But anyway, that's my issue. So good luck to everybody, and we'll catch up with you later. Bye.